Good morning, everyone. Today is January 30th, 2023, and it is the 20th day of Worthy Words. Today's word is spirited, and I'd like to discuss the difference between how I was prior to my car accident versus after my car accident versus now, 20 years after the car accident. All revolving around being spirited, what my life was like, things I've done to overcome or what things have influenced it. And I got to start with the backstory rather than starting with spirited. Maybe I need to just start with the definitions like I always do and then go with the backstory. Okay. So spirited is somebody that shows courage and energy, liveliness, strength, and energy, and just has a life about them. They're not somebody that is dull or boring or lacks enthusiasm in their life. So, backstory. Prior to the accident, even long before my adulthood, I was very afraid. I was unexcited. I was indifferent. I was lethargic and cautious and depressed and unhappy. And there wasn't much that excited me other than getting away from family life. And even that didn't excite me too much because the world was full of pain. It was full of hurt back then to me in my eyes, and that was my perception of the world. After the accident, or around the time of the accident, all that memory was erased. All of that hurt, all of that pain that led to my indifference, that led to being shy. I just was very unlively. I spent time on the couch as much as possible, just staring into space and not thinking at all. And the word that is used for that is called disassociating. So after the car accident, all of that stuff was wiped away from me. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to have a life until my late husband started coming around to see me more often. He would bring his son and my sons were friends. I did not know that I knew this man prior to the accident. No, I did not. He and I were not in a relationship, just he would drop his son off at my place, or I would drop my son off, or I'd go pick up my son from his place, or he'd pick up his son from my place. We didn't really have a relationship. We just knew that we were the parent of each other's sons. So when he started coming around a little more often, and he and I would begin to talk and just have a conversation while the kids were having theirs. and we got to know each other. And one day he says, I'm going to the auction down the road. It starts at whatever time it is. He says, you seem like you could use a timeout from the kids. He says, how about you just meet me over there? And I said, fine. It was right down the road on the same street that I lived on. And so it wasn't that hard for me to find it. And I met him there. That is when I realized there's a lot of things here. I don't know what they are. In fact, other than dishes, I don't think I recognized anything. I knew what a candle was, but they didn't have any candles there. There were a lot of things there that I did not know, and I spent time walking around looking at things, trying to figure out what they were. And I got back to my seat, and I asked him what was on the floor by his seat. He says, oh, that there? He says, that's a motor. I said, a motor? I said, what you going to do with it? He says, not me. He says, I bought it for a friend of mine. I said, well, that's nice of you. And he says, no, he says, it's not really. He says, I know my friend is looking for a motor. And he says, and these normally cost about $20. He says, I got it for $1. He says, and I'll sell it to him for $5. He'll think he's getting a good deal. And I made a couple of bucks on the side. Okay. And that was news to me. Didn't know people did that. Not at that point in time. My memory was erased. And I didn't come alive that night. And it was a month or two later that he was not able to make it to the auction. And I went on my own. And I remembered some things he had taught me about how to bid on things. And so I bid on some things, and I ended up with several truckloads of stuff. And I called him up and I said, I know you said you're busy tonight, but I'm wondering if I could borrow your truck. He says, my truck. He says, what do you need my truck for? I says, we just went into business together. I have no idea what he was doing that night. I didn't ask. It wasn't any of my business at that point in time. We still were in the early stages of forming a friendship. And, what he had going on was his business. It wasn't mine. And whatever it was he was doing, he decided it was important enough to come see what I was talking about. It took us 2 trips that night to get everything to my house, and then 1 trip the next morning to get the rest of the stuff to my house. And we started yard sailing the stuff. And so he and I went into business together, just yard sailing and staying busy. And the thing is, that was when I started to come alive. I started taking an interest in things, and really started taking an interest in this friendship that was forming, because he was there. He helped me and my kids associate with one another when we weren't getting along, because I didn't understand. I didn't have parenting skills. I didn't know who my kids were. I didn't know how to parent. And in some respects, I didn't know how to parent before I had kids. I had taken childcare class. I knew some things, and I knew a lot more than my family did at that point in time. But I learned some things along the way that just were not right. And so I wasn't the worst parent, and I wasn't the perfect parent. I did what I could to make changes, along the family history. But after the accident, no, I didn't really start coming alive until I started realizing I've got a friend. I've got somebody who cares. I've got somebody who has an interest in the things that I have an interest in, and I have an interest in the things he has an interest in. And it was just purely the auction and reselling things. And I couldn't really do anything. I didn't know a lot of items, and what I didn't know, he did. And then the few items he didn't know about, I knew about, like sewing machines and how they work. Although I had to teach myself how to make it work because I had one. But the further along we got with the auction, the more lively I became. And he and I ended up creating a bond over that. So yeah, there was a definite difference in my spirited nature prior to the accident. I was very reserved prior to the accident. I didn't really show myself to people. I talked with them, but I was very, even after I had kids, I was very stoic, not in the sense of negativity. I really wasn't a negative person. I wouldn't allow my kids to use the word stupid or shut up. I would not allow that in my house because I felt how derogatory it was when I was growing up. But that lack of energy, that lack of zest for life was missing. Except for when I played with my kids. I'd sing songs to them and we'd all light up together. Or I'd play with them, or I'd watch them. I kept, instead of cleaners under my kitchen sink, I kept Tupperware under my kitchen sink. So whenever I wanted to cook and the baby wanted to get into things, I just open up underneath the cabinet and let them pull everything out. Who cares? It went back in underneath the sink, as always, on the dirty side, so it didn't matter. Because I knew everything underneath there was safe for my child, and I would have to wash it before I used it. So, just watching my kids play with kitchen items while I was in there cooking was a joy to me. But outside of my kids, no. I wore a blank face most of the time. My kids livened me up. They really did. I really enjoyed raising them when they were small, and I miss that closeness with them. They're grown. They're not in the house. They don't cause me to smile all the time because they are grown and they have their own opinions. But that's all right. Some of us, we get along really well, and the other ones of us, well, they have some growing to do. And I'm not saying that I don't have growing to do. I'm saying that some of the things that are going on within the relationships are definitely caused because I've lived life a little bit longer than they have. Some of my memories have returned, and so some of those lessons have returned. And I've grown through bad relationships, and I've learned through bad relationships. I'm not interested in having a bad relationship with my kids, and I would rather have the silence and than to make matters worse with them. I don't want to make matters worse with them. And until they're ready to have these conversations, we're not going to make any progress. So why try when they haven't gotten there yet? They are on their own journey in life, and I've got to let them have that journey until they're ready to have conversations with me. And this is what happens when you have a large family. You don't please everybody. You don't always please your parents. You don't always please your siblings. And then you don't always please your children. And if you don't learn that when your children are small, when they're having those terrible two tantrums, take that, into adulthood. If they're not happy about something, let them be, and let them have their temper tantrum, and kick and scream on the floor and just ignore them. That's the best way to handle a 2-year-old temper tantrum. And when they're adults and they don't want to talk to you because they're mad at you for something, let them be mad. Let them, figure it out, what life is all about. They'll eventually turn around and come towards you. But how I got on that, I don't know, other than I am way more spirited now than I ever was in the past. And I guess that this is my way of showing that I'm spirited now compared to how I used to be. I find joy in a lot of things in life. I just, there's so many things to be happy about. And not having arguments is one of them. I don't want to be arguing with people. I don't have time in my day to argue with people. I'd rather work on writing my books, writing articles, working on my website, cleaning my house, unpacking, organizing, cleaning. Believe it or not, mowing the yard, when it's not winter time. I'd rather be doing those things. I'd rather learn a new language. I'd rather keep my mind busy and active with positive things that'll bring a positive result to my life than argue with somebody. If you have a problem with me, ask me. Why did I do such and such? Well, these were the only options I knew, and I didn't want this option because of this, and I didn't want this option because of that, and that left this option. And while I understood the consequences, or sometimes we don't understand what kind of consequences can come from it, it was the best choice I had at the time, and I didn't like making it, but I didn't have any other options available to me that I knew of. And, life is a journey. It's a process, and it takes our whole lifetimes to learn what we know by the time we pass away. And if we're not spending time learning, we're spending time being stagnant. We're spending time being the same. We're spending time not growing and changing to be the best person that we can be. And that's what Worthy Words is all about, is putting me in a good mindset, speaking to the water, due to the water experiments. I went over that the other day. And just getting positivity in my life, because for most of my life, that was vacant. That was not being filled. And I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I'm ready to move on with my life, and I hope you are too. So with that being said, I'm going to get going with the worthy words. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't hit that like button or the subscribe button yet, please do so. It'll help with the algorithms. It'll help you find it easier. And it lets me know that you are enjoying my stories and learning from these videos. And I just really appreciate the love and the support from you. And I love and appreciate the fact that you are enjoying something that I'm creating for your benefit. So, with that being said, here's to the worthy words: abundance, accepted, acclaimed, accomplished, achieved, active, admirable, adaptable, admired, affluent, ahead of time, all things beautiful, amazing, animating, appealing, approved, assured, attractive, awake, awoke, awesome, awestruck, beaming, beautiful, believe, believed, beloved, blessed, blessings, bountiful, brave, brilliant, called, calm, careful, caring, celebrated, certain, cheerful, cherished, cleansed, comedian, composed, content, courageous, creative, creator, dear, delighted, delightful, devoted, distinguished, divine, easy, ecstatic, elegant, encouraged, encouraging, endorsed, energy, engaging, essential, excellent, expectant, exponential, effective, efficient, empowered, energetic, insured, enthused, equitable, esteemed, ethical, experienced, expert, fabulous, faithful, fascinating, favorable, favored, flourished, fond, flourishing, fortunate, found, free, friendly, fulfilled, funny, gained, generous, genius, genuine, gleeful, glowing, good, graceful, gratitude, great, growth, happy, harmonious, harmony, healed, healthy, heard, heartfelt, helped, helpful, honored, idea, igniting, imagination, imaginative, immersed, impressive, income, increase, independent, informative, innovative, inspired, inspiring, instinctive, intellectual, intuitive, inventive, joyful, jubilant, knowing, known, kind, knowledgeable, laugh, legendary, light, lively, lovable, love, lucky, marvelous, meaningful, memory, merit, miracle, miraculous, motivated, motivating, moving, natural, nice, nourished, nurturing, open, opportunity, optimistic, overcomer, overjoyed, oxygen, paradise, peace, peaceful, perfect, physically fit, pleasant, plentiful, poised, popular, positive, possible, powerful, prepared, productive, progress, prominent, promise, prosperity, quality, quick, ready, reassured, reassuring, receiver, refined, refreshing, rejoice, relatable, relative, relaxed, reliable, remembered, remembering, repaired, resounding, rested, respected, restored, revived, rewarded, rewarding, right, safe, satisfied, secure, sensational, serene, shifting, skilled, skillful, soulful, sparkling, special, spirited, spiritual, star, stimulated, stimulating, stirring, strong, stunning, succeeded, successful, sunny, super, supported, surprising, terrific, thankful, thorough, thrilling, thank you, thriving, timely, tranquil, transformational, transform, triumph, trusting, truthful, understanding, understood, upright, upbeat, valued, vibrant, victorious, victory, virtuous, vital, vitalizing, wanted, watched over, wealthy, welcomed, whole, wholesome, willing, wonderful, wondrous, worthy, wow, youthful, zealous, amen. Let it be so. Thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, have a great day.